After almost 60 years of strong bipartisan support, Congress has cut all federal funding for public media, stripping away a critical pillar of support for local stations like ours. At Vermont Public, we'll lose at least $2 million this year. If all our sustaining members increase their gift by $7 per month, we'll close that gap for good. Increase your gift today and help close the gap at vermontpublic.org/update.
From Vermont Public, this is The Frequency. I'm Mary Engish, filling in for Mitch Wertlieb. It's Tuesday, August 26th, and here are today's headlines. The Scott administration is asking for federal aid to help several Northeast Kingdom towns recovering from severe flooding that occurred on July 10th. The administration has filed a major disaster relief request. It specifically targets damages to local infrastructure projects, including roads, bridges, and culverts. Governor Phil Scott says the town of Sutton had more than $1 million of infrastructure damage, and he says federal assessors determined there was at least $1.8 million in damage statewide. If the request is approved, the Federal Emergency Management Agency would reimburse communities for 75% of their repair costs. The state is also requesting money from a special FEMA program to help pay for projects that aim to prevent infrastructure damage and future disasters. President Trump will make the final decision on Vermont's disaster relief application. Abenaki elder Jeanne Brink died earlier this month. She was born in Montpelier in 1944 and lived most of her life in Vermont's Washington County. Brink became well known for preserving Abenaki language, basket making, and stories. She was first exposed to her cultural heritage by her relatives, the Obomsawans, who lived at Thompson's Point in Charlotte. Here's Brink in a 2007 interview with Vermont Public Television.
Go out and get stories from your grandparents, from your aunts and uncles. Those family stories are important. There's a saying that we can't know where we're going if we don't know from where we came.
Jeanne Brink died on August 5th. She was 80 years old. And an Abenaki First Nation leader in Quebec wants the city of Burlington to revisit plans to replace a statue honoring Abenaki chief Greylock. The city took down the wooden statue this summer. It was nearly 40 years old and in disrepair. The city worked with local members of a state-recognized tribe to commission a replacement. Danielle G. Nollet is the Director General of Abenaki First Nation. Monday on Vermont Edition, he disputed those Vermonters' tribal status. He hopes the city will reach out to the Abenaki instead.
And start to work, on a collaborative mode onto how we could better replace the statue and to really and truly honor Chief Greylock's memory.
A spokesperson for the Burlington mayor's office says the city is currently analyzing the old monument's base for structural integrity. It is intended to remain for the new sculpture if and when it's installed. The Vermont Fish and Wildlife Department is reminding hunters that the sale of bear paws and internal organs of bears is prohibited. Vermont's bear hunting season starts September 1st. The department says it's investigated cases of people from out of state approaching Vermont hunters to purchase bear paws and gallbladders, which are valuable in some Asian countries. The meat of bear, deer, or moose may be sold within Vermont during the open hunting season and for 20 days after the season ends. A host of Vermont musicians aim to set the record for the world's largest square dance tonight at the Champlain Valley Fair. And if 1,633 people show up, they'll have done it. Mary Wesley is with Vermont Folklife, one of the organizations supporting tonight's attempt. And like her grandparents did in the last century, Wesley calls square dances, and she'll be calling tonight's event.
So the caller's job is to kind of tell you what you're supposed to do right before you do it. So, people might hear, all join hands and circle to the left, to the left you go.
Longtime local musician Bob Wagner is spearheading the effort. Fish bassist Mike Gordon, singers Josh Panda and Cat Wright, and honky-tonk legend Brett Hughes are slated to perform with him. The event's also raising money for the Northeast Organic Farming Association. The current Guinness World Record was set in 2017 at the 66th National Square Dance Convention in Cincinnati. Coming up, a play about the reunification of Muslim families at the Haskell Free Library during the Trump administration's first term has taken on new meaning in the president's second term. Vermont Public's Nina Keck has more. That's after this. The Haskell Free Library straddles the U.S.-Canadian border in Derby Line, Vermont, and Stansted, Quebec. During the first Trump administration, Muslim families used the library as a safe space to meet loved ones they couldn't visit in the U.S. because of travel bans. A play inspired by those meetings and the ripple effects is now being performed by the Weston Theatre Company. The creator tells Vermont Public's Nina Keck it's taken on new meaning in the president's second term.
When word got out about these clandestine family reunions on the Vermont border during President Trump's first term, Kareem Fahmy says it instantly struck a nerve. The playwright and director was born in Sherbrooke, Quebec, not far from the library in Stansted. His parents had immigrated to Canada from Egypt.
The second I started reading about it, I was like, oh, I know this library. I know this place. I mean, this is where I grew up. And being, my family is from the Middle East, and as Muslim, immediately I knew, like, oh, this is my story to tell.
So he started writing A Distinct Society. The play centers on an Iranian heart surgeon who's trying to visit his daughter. She's in medical school in the U.S. Because of President Trump's travel ban, the father is barred from entering the U.S., while his daughter worries she won't be allowed back if she leaves. The two set out to meet in what they hope is a neutral zone, inside the Haskell Free Library, which is where the play unfolds. Fahmy says to him it was vital to make all 5 of his characters authentic and flawed.
They feel like real people and not just mouthpieces for political ideas.
Iranian-born actor Barzan Akavan plays the father. He walks on stage with Tupperware containers filled with Iranian food he's made to comfort his daughter.
He's much like my father. He's incredibly gregarious, open, loving. He's not angry. He's generous. And I don't think that necessarily that's the first thing that a Western audience might think of.
There's an American Border Patrol agent who's not the villain, a young library patron whose parents immigrated to Quebec from Ireland and who feels ostracized as an English speaker. And there's a French-speaking librarian who's trying to navigate a new set of rules that push her morality. Polly Lee plays that role.
Each and every character in this play says, this is my place. It's about what is your place? What is your home? Who gets to dictate how you move in your home, where you belong, where you fit in? I feel like this play grapples with the micro questions around that.
The small-town library is almost a character in itself, and the entire 90-minute story takes place inside it. There's a giant moose head, stained glass windows, and a warm wood ambience to the set that feels like so many small-town libraries in Vermont. Fahmy says the team took special care to ensure it looked like the real Haskell Free Library.
Well, I think that's the thing that's so special about the library, the story, the setting of the play is that, the library was built as this symbol of cooperation between these two countries, but specifically it symbolizes Quebec and Vermont and what they share.
But it's a cooperative friendship that's been rocked by tariffs Trump has imposed on Canadian goods and changes to immigration policy. The Haskell Free Library was forced to add a separate entrance for Canadian visitors and install surveillance cameras. Earlier this year, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem visited the library following the fatal shooting of a Border Patrol agent. According to several news accounts, Noem parroted Trump in calling Canada the 51st state, something that angered locals. Fahmy says it makes the themes in his play all the more significant.
It's sort of scarily relevant today and is resonating in ways that I never would have imagined when I wrote it back in 2019.
Fahmy says there is so much right now that separates people. Borders, politics, language, race, and religion. He wants his play to nudge people beyond those divisions.
Just say, hey, what is our shared humanity? In this play, I really deal a lot with issues of family and food and literature and art, like things that transcend all of those divisions.
The Weston Theatre Company will perform A Distinct Society through August 31st at Walker Farm. For Vermont Public, I'm Nina Keck.
Thanks for listening to The Frequency today. We had additional reporting from Bob Kinzel, Elodie Reed, Michaela Lefrak, Mark Davis, and Jen Jarecki. Today's episode was edited by Stephanie Colombini and produced by Adia Golston. And our music is by Blue Dot Sessions. I'm Mary Engish. Talk to you tomorrow.
These days, there's so much news, it can be hard to keep up with what it all means for you, your family, and your community. The Consider This podcast from NPR features our award-winning journalism. 6 days a week, we bring you a deep dive on a news story and provide the context and analysis that helps you make sense of the news. We get behind the headlines. We get to the truth. Listen to the Consider This podcast from NPR.